I found a game that literally stole Ragnarok Online spell names. It completely ignores every modern and sanitized theme park trend that is rotting the genre from the inside out. It brings back the manual stats, it brings back the punishing, endless mob grinding, and it brings back the kind of catastrophic jank that we haven't seen since 2004. I've spent a lot of time talking about the golden age of MMOs, that specific era where social friction actually mattered, where you couldn't just autopath your way to the level cap while watching Netflix on your second monitor, talking about the era of Ragnarok Online, a game with just profound mechanical depth and permanent consequence that modern studios are completely terrified to even touch the formula. So when I saw the Steam playtest for Torebia Island Odyssey, a 2.5-person indie project promising to bring back that exact soul, my curiosity piqued immediately. I wanted to know if a modern indie team could actually replicate the mechanical depth of that era, or if this was just another mobile game wearing a nostalgia suit. At first glance, Torebia hits all the right notes. Manipulate an old-school MMO refugee. You don't start as a chosen hero. You start at base level 1 and skill level 1. There's no WASD movement. It is pure, unfiltered, click-to-move pathfinding. And the moment you open the stat window, the nostalgia hits you like a truck. Strength, agility, vitality, intellect, dexterity, and luck. It is a one-to-one copy of Ragnarok's manual stat system. The modern MMOs treat you like a toddler. You level up, the game automatically hands you a 5 extra intellect, you equip the shiny boots, and you move on. Torebia hands you the points and says, figure it out. It lets you completely ruin your character build if you don't know what you're doing. Though to be fair, they did include an NPC named the Reset Girl to fix your mistakes if you completely brick your character, but I love the fact that the danger is there. You want to be a glass cannon archer, pump dexterity and agility, which is exactly what I did. The core loop here is a pure, unapologetic grinding. You aren't following a glowing breadcrumb trail from one glowing NPC to another. In fact, one of the first NPCs I found was named Boring Belly Heart. He handed me some basic weapons and potions. Then I met the Captain Usopp, who just told me to go find a compass locked in a small chest deep in the crypt. So I went to the crypt, and I stayed there for a very long time, because early game combat is brutal. It took 3 health potions just to kill a single skeleton. But then, you hit the threshold. I got a skill point, and I unlocked double strafe. It's not twin arrow or dual shot. It is exactly the same name as the classic skill from Ragnarok Online. Suddenly, my damage jumps from pitiful chip damage to hitting 44s and 66. I'm one-shotting skeletons. The dopamine drip is finally working. They even have a soul system, which is just a direct, unabashed translation of Ragnarok's card socketing system. The background music kicks in with this distinct, melancholic Ragnarok Online vibe. And for a brief moment, standing in that crypt, surrounded by 20 other players just grinding their lives away, I was completely transported back to 2004. But then, the cracks start to show. It starts with the small things, like realizing why the town has 30 people just standing around. It's not because the game's economy is booming. It's because everyone is literally stuck on the starting island. And then there's the combat feel. It doesn't have that crunch of classic MMOs. It feels very floaty. Inputs lag, pathfinding gets you stuck on the invisible edges of tiles. There's also this awful depth of field blur effect that makes it feel like your character forgot their prescription classes, and there's no way to turn it off. I also tried to find the sit command to regenerate HP and a fundamental staple of the genre. I couldn't find it. And just when you think you're getting used to the jank, the server disconnects you. When the playtest servers finally decided to let me exist on the solid ground again, I had a goal. I went back down into the crypt, grind my way through the skeletons, and finally found the small chest with Usopp's compass. I used the recoil skill to teleport back to the town instantly. A nice quality of life feature, turned it in, and unlocked sailing. I was given a choice, and I set sail to Corin Island. It was a desert biome. It looked very much like Morok in Ragnarok Online. I took exactly one step outside the safe zone, and I was immediately one-shot by a sandworm. I checked the bestiary. It was a level 48 sandworm, and I was level 11. This is beautiful. chaotic friction of old school game design. The game doesn't warn you, it doesn't put you up a red barrier, it just kills you and then laughs. When you resurrect back in town, you realize what you have to do to survive. You go back to the crypt. You grind more skeletons because you need a 22,000 gold to buy a basic piece of plate armor. I sold every piece of garbage I found, every bone, every iron ingot. I finally bought the plate armor. It gave me exactly 4 defense, and it made a massive difference. That is the mechanical depth I'm always talking about. When the numbers are small, every single digit actually matters. I ended up staying in that crypt long enough to max out double strafe entirely and start working on my passive skills. I hit level 16, just taking in the music and watching other players figure out the grind. I even saw someone using a bard-like healing skill to support others in the hub. It felt like a real, breathing world, despite the jank. So we step back and look at the whole game. Torebia Island Odyssey is a pretty fascinating project. Twin Studios, a 2.5-person team, managed to capture the idea of Ragnarok Online. The manual stats, the classes skill tree, the punishing open world economy. It kind of proves that the players still deeply crave this kind of a unapologetic friction. But having the right blueprint doesn't mean the house is safe to live in. The floaty combat kills the moment-to-moment satisfaction, and the jank. The jank is completely overwhelming. I love the attempt. I respect the integrity of trying to build an anti-pay-to-win grinder in 2026. But if I want to play a game that feels exactly like Ragnarok Online, I'm just going to go play Ragnarok Online. It's timeless, it has the crunch, it has the polish, and it has the community. Torebia relies way too heavily on nostalgia bait to carry its broken mechanics. It's a great experiment, but it's not the successor we need. But yeah, that's my experience with Torebia. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the breakdown, consider leaving a like or subscribing if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.